So as you can see, 2018, right, the inflation was higher than the return on investment. 2019, return on investment was higher than inflation. 2020, return on investment was higher than inflation. But look at 2021, return on investment was higher, 17%, while return was just 6.5%. In 2022, right, look at inflation, 20.8, so it's going up. Return on investment was just 7.1%. So you see that if you are depending on these, right, as your active modes of retirement, looking towards the time you're going to retire in 25 years, in 30 years, in 40 years time, right, most likely possibility is that this experience of these people are going to be your experience. Because the rate is not stable. You see, Nigeria Unions of Pensioners, Lagos State Council, right? Rest is sweet after labor. Now, these guys are protesting for the government to pay them. Some of them are carrying mats on their head to go and sleep in the government house, that their pension must be paid. Why? Because the inflation in most African countries, right, it keeps rising as going on. That's what we are looking at. How can you retire? How to retire rich in Africa? You can't depend on just your pension, right? If you are working actively, if you have a job in anywhere in Africa, government employed or private employed, right? You cannot depend on just that government managed pension fund to secure your future. You need to activate what we call a personal retirement plan. Welcome to the How to Retire Rich edition, right? So this we're going to be talking about, this is going to be part 1, right? How to retire rich in Africa, a step-by-step guide to executing a personal retirement plan for Africans within or outside Africa. So it will be better that you turn your phone to a landscape mode so that you can be able to see everything I'll be talking about on this channel, right? It's better that you do this because most of what we'll talk about on this channel is practicals, right? Get a diary for this channel, right? How to retire rich in Africa, right? Get a diary for this channel. So on today's episode, we're going to be looking at practically how to retire rich in Africa, part 1, right? So, and I want to also encourage you, if you are anywhere in Africa, if you are African and in Nigeria in particular, who lives either outside or within Africa, and you can afford to save 200 naira, 500 naira, 1,000 naira, 2,000 naira, 3,000 naira, 5,000 naira or more on a daily or monthly basis, then you should subscribe to this channel, because all I will do in this channel is to show you, all right, in every video I share practical strategies that the average income earner anywhere across the African continent can literally engage to transform their lives financially within the shortest time possible, right? So welcome again to How to Retire Rich in Africa, right? This is going to be part 1 of the series of videos I'm going to be sharing on this channel. So if you can save 200 naira, 500 naira, 1,000 naira, 3,000, 2K, 5,000 naira or more on a daily or monthly basis, then this is the channel you are looking for, right? So for instance, if you are saving 200 naira on a daily basis, you're talking about 6,000 naira monthly, right? On a yearly basis, that's 72,000 naira every year. Like, it's small, yes. Like I've always said, you're going to see a lot of videos that has to do with how you can use your savings to change your life within the shortest time possible, right? If you're saving 5,000 naira daily, that is 15,000 monthly. You're either doing it daily, you're doing it monthly, right? That is on a yearly basis, 180,000 every year as savings, right? If you're doing 1,000 daily, that's 30,000 naira monthly, 360,000 naira yearly, right? If you are doing 2,000, that is 60,000 on a monthly basis, then 720,000 on a yearly basis, right? So these are income that you can save over time. If you are doing 3,000 daily, That is 90,000 monthly. Can you save 90,000 monthly? If this is your category, then it's a way to go. Then on a yearly basis, you are talking about $1,080,000 every year. That's what you're having as savings, right? We're doing 5,000 daily. That is 150K. Can you afford to save 150,000 every month, right? In a year, that is 1.8 million. And I've said in all the videos in this channel is that the savings we're talking about here is not a savings to, to flex, savings to pay rent, savings to buy clothes, savings to do, all those are expenses. These are savings for investments. So I'm going to be showing you on this channel how you can use these savings, whether 200 naira, whether 500, whether 1,000 naira, whether 6K monthly, whatever your capacity is. My job on this channel is to show you how you can use your savings, no matter how small it is. For instance, if what you are saving is 70,000 daily, right? I will show you videos on these channels that shows you how you can transform your life with just little amount of money. Whatever you are watching us from on this channel, from whether from South Africa, anywhere across Africa, Ghana, Zimbabwe, Rwanda, anywhere, just convert a Nigerian naira into your local currency. Then you look at the amount that you have there to change your life in 1 year, right? So on today's episode of this channel, right, we're looking at how to retire rich in Africa, a step-by-step guide to executing a personal retirement plan for Africans within or outside Africa, right? Now, why is the word personal retirement? The word personal retirement, why is this important? As we go along with this series, right, from part 1 to part 5 of this particular series, right, we're going to be seeing why you should have a personal retirement plan. Why you should have a personal retirement plan outside of any form of retirement at all that the government or your employer have put in place, right? You should have a personal retirement plan. And in this series of video from part 1 to 5, we're going to be showing you practical steps, right, on how to execute this saving plan, right, to transform your life as form of retirement goals for you, for yourself. So if you're an African, whether you are within Africa or outside Africa, right, subscribe to this channel, hit on the notification bell so that when we post more videos, you'll be able to notify you. And also YouTube will be able to show our channels also to other Africans across the continent to be able to come and watch and engage and change and transform their lives. So let's make progress. So how does retirement through pension funding, how does it work? That's a question we're going to be answering in this part 1 of how to retire rich in Africa. How does the retirement through pension funding, how does it work, right? I'm going to give you information on how this work, right? So let's move on, right? For those who don't understand what a pension plan is or what retirement is about, right? A pension plan is a retirement account where employers, this could be government or private employers, right? And employees make monthly contributions. So on a monthly basis, the employers, right, as you are being paid, takes a percentage from their own income and make contributions to this account. And also the employee himself or herself also make contributions to this account. The entire idea is that at old age, which is for some countries 60s, 65, for some countries 70, for some countries 50, 55, like that. So that at that age of 65, where you can no longer probably work actively, as it were, this fund can be channeled towards taking care of you at that age. Right? That's the entire essence of what retirement planning is about. Everyone pray for long life. You're going to be probably 50, 65, 70, 80, 90. At that age, right, what kind of life experience are you going to be having? It is the things you are doing now. If you get a job right now, it is things your employers are doing plus what you are doing that will contribute to how your life will look like in the next 40, in the next 50, the next 60, the next 70 years of your life experiences, right? So previously, Nigeria operated what we call a defined benefit system, where employers or the government, in the case of civil service, solely topped up the pension account. all through, although this meant that retirement benefits were part of the annual government budget, it was too expensive for employers to maintain. Hence, the shift to a co-funded system. So before now, what government does was to take the active workforce of the nation, like Nigeria, right? They look at, okay, how many people are going to be retiring in the next 40 years, in the next 60 years, in the next 100 years, in the next 20 years, in the next 5 years, in the next 3 years. Then they make a budget that will take care of them in old age. That could be paid monthly or could be paid once. I'm sure you've heard the word gratuity before. That's what it's about. But at the point, the government noticed that there was not enough resources, right, to fund this chain of people who are old, who are coming out of the workforce, right? There was not enough resources to go around. So what they did was, okay, let the government pay a percentage into the funding account, that is a pension fund account, and also the employee pays also a percentage into the funding account. So if you're a government employee, government pay the past percentage and you pay a part percentage. If you're private employed, the private company as employee, your employer pays a percentage and you also pay a percentage. So what happens is that currently in Nigeria, employers contribute 10% of the salary, and the employee contributes 8%. That is known as a defined contribution scheme and is governed by the Pension Reform Act. So if you are earning 100,000, for instance, you contribute 10%. The government or your employer contribute 10% of your monthly salary into the pension fund, and also from your salary you contribute 8% into the pension fund, and that is 18% of your total income on a monthly basis, right? I think this makes sense for those who have jobs that they are working at, whether government employed or private employed, right? So what it means is that, let's say for instance, this is just a breakdown of something that I worked on for Easy Corporation, right? I think we should put this on a fuller slide so that we can see ourselves, we can see everything. Let me move this down a little bit. Okay, I may not be able to remove that, but I think you'll be able to see what I am doing here, right? So at 100, for instance, you are earning 100,000 naira income salary. That is 10,000 naira monthly from employer, whether private or government, and 8,000 naira monthly from employee. That is you. That's 18,000 monthly times 12 of every year. That is 260,000 per annum, right? So in 20 years, for instance, at 216,000 pension fund per year, that is in 20 years that you are looking at, that is 2.16 million in 10 years, and in 10 years you have 2.16 million, right, in 10 years. And in 20 years, looking at 4.320 million in 20 years. That is an active contribution to the pension fund money. Don't forget, your salary is going to be changing. If you started with 100,000 naira, there's no way you're going to be staying 100,000 for 40 years or 20 years. So it will keep changing. But we have to keep this at the average of 100,000. Over 10 years, you are getting 2.1 million. Over 20 years, you're getting 4.3 million. Right, in 40 years' time, right, you're looking at 260,000 naira pension fund per year. That is 6.48 million in 30 years and 8.6 million in 40 years in active contribution, right? Basically, your salary did not increase. It was just at that 100,000 naira for over 40 years. That is, at the end of the 40 years period, what you have is about 8.6 million in your pension fund account, right? In some other videos, we're going to be looking at how this fund works. In some other video, we're going to be looking at how it is expected that the pension fund managers are supposed to not just leave the money there, they're supposed to put the money into several investments, right? Like bonds, government bonds, issued bonds or stocks, right? Some of them into as in different kind of safe investments that give a percentage, so that it is not what you put into your pension fund, whether from the government or your private employer and yourself. It is not what you get at the end of 40 years or at the end of 20 years or at the end of 30 years, at the end of 60 years of your active working, right? I hope you get that. But what happened is this. Where it gets interesting is this, right? What happened is this, right? When they put this money into investment, like in Nigeria, for instance, for the past 5 years, right? 5 years count. What you see, what you look at here, we have here pension return, that is investment in the returns, right? Then inflation is one red, white pension fund returns is blue. So as you can see, 2018, right, the inflation was higher than the return on investment. 2019, return on investment was higher than inflation. 2020, return on investment was higher than inflation. But look at 2021, return on investment was higher, 17%, while return was just 6.5%. In 2022, right, look at inflation, 20.8, so it's going up. Return on investment was just 7.1%. So you see that if you are depending on these, right, as your active modes of retirement, looking towards the time you're going to retire in 25 years, in 30 years, in 40 years time, right, most likely possibility is that this experience of these people are going to be your experience. Because the rate is not stable. You see, Nigeria Unions of Pensioners, Lagos State Council, right? Rest is sweet after labor. Now, these guys are protesting for the government to pay them. Some of them are carrying mats on their head to go and sleep in the government house, that their pension must be paid. Why? Because the inflation in most African countries, right, it keeps rising as going on. That's what we are looking at. How can you retire? How to retire rich in Africa? You can't depend on just your pension, right? If you are working actively, if you have a job in any way in Africa, government employed or private employed, right? You cannot depend on just that government managed pension fund to secure your future. You need to activate what we call a personal retirement plan. That is what this entire channel is about. I'm going to be showing you different strategies on how you can balance your life before 50, before 60, before 70, before 20, in 20 years time, 40, 45 years time, 35 years time, right? If you don't want the experience of these people to be your experience, then there is the need for you to activate a personal plan that should be funded by you, that you have 100% control over, right? These are people who are protesting, people's mothers who have worked for 30 years, some 40 years, some 50 years, some 35 years, they've worked in the active service. But because the money to pay them, right, is not available, there's a drop there's a rise in inflation, while return on investment is low. There is the place of people clamoring for enough is enough to pensioner sufferings. Senators, have mercy on poor pensioners for God's sake, right? You can't depend on the government funded system. Some of them at the end of the day get up having stroke, start struggling to live their life. This should not be your experience. There are mechanisms right now available all across Africa, that whose power you can leverage to create as in a wealthy and a rich retirement 40, 25, 30, 50 years from now. That is just the possibility of what's possible. So at the end, some of them end up like this, right? And I'm sure this is not what you want for yourself. This is why you must activate what we are calling a personalized, right, retirement plan that is outside of government control, that you have at least 100% or even as in 70%, if possible 100% over. Whatever happened to it, right, you cannot leave it in the hand of the government. That is why you need to activate that. Don't forget, I've said that currently in Nigeria, for example, you can research what happens within your nations anywhere across Africa. Currently in Nigeria, employers contribute 10% of the salary and the employee contribute 8%. That is known as the defined contribution scheme, and is governed by the Pension Reform Act. This is under the government management. Forcefully, whether you want it or not, every month government takes 8% from your salary. They add 10% to your salary, then they keep it for you over some years, right? And they keep this is how the pension fund, retirement funding, this is how it works. And the commission, the pension management commission, right now takes that your investment, takes that your money rather, and invests it into a system that can bring profits at the end. But like I just showed you, right, a few minutes ago, that what happened is that most of the time, right, inflation eats up the return on investment, which means you can end up getting nothing reasonable at the end of your active working years. This is why you must activate what we are calling a personal retirement plan. Now, very importantly, right, now, that's for those who are working, right, either for the government or for corporate institutions who factor in the pension of their employees, right? Now, outside of government and private sectors employees that we have looked at before now, we have the self-employed and the others employed. Those people who are working right now, who are self-employed somewhere, right, who own personal businesses. Nobody pays them pension. It means that they have to look for a way, right, to secure their future, right, in the next 40, 50, right, 35, 25 years of their life has to be planned and executed by themselves. Perhaps they are self-employed because they couldn't find somebody to hire them, or they are others employed, and those who have employed them are not even paying them enough, right, for them to start talking about factoring in pension. All these are laws supposed to be functional in a working system, but most likely all across African continents, in Nigeria in particular, some of these laws don't hold. Graduates are just looking for a means to just put their head somewhere, get a job, work for some time. Then at the end of the day, what they do, they go home with their monthly salary, nothing else, nothing more. When they are sacked, that's the end of their job. Yeah, there are laws in the land and how they're supposed to protect employees. But you cannot wait for government to come and be enforcing laws when even the government themselves are owing people who have retired, pensioners in their nation. This is why you must activate a personalized retirement plan. That is why all the entire series from part 1 to 5 are going to be dealing with how to retire rich in Africa. Subscribe to this channel, like it, share it with your friends across all social media platforms, and you get a lot of knowledge from this channel, right? We're talking about people who are working in small scale businesses. For instance, the micro, small, and medium enterprises, MSMEs, contributed for the 3.31% to Nigeria gross domestic products, GDP, according to 2022 survey conducted by the Small and Medium Enterprise Development Agency in collaboration with the National Bureau of Statistics, that is Nigeria, right? This is what macro and small scale businesses contributed to the GDP of Nigeria in 2022. Yet most of the people who are working in these small, micro, medium enterprises, they have no function, or they're not talking about pension for them at all. There are some of you who work in places like this. Nobody's talking about your pension. Everybody's talking about your monthly salary, right? So how do you secure your future and working in a place like this? Right? We're talking about the guys, a youth somewhere who's working in a factory, maybe an aluminum company or a food packaging company, pure water company, just going home with monthly salaries, right? 30,000, 20,000, 50,000, 5,000, probably even 7,000 as much. Nobody talks about their pension. They just go home with their monthly salaries. If you're wise, you will stay with me on this channel. If you know someone who does this kind of job, you should share this video with them. I get them to follow this channel so they can get updated on how they can retire, because whether retire by sickness or retire by government or retire by policy, retirement is coming. For as much as you're going to be living up to the year, you're going to be living to 70 years old, 60 years old, 50 years old, which is a dream of everyone on earth, right? We're going to be living up to 90, 100 years old. That is going to become, there's going to become a time where you can no longer work actively. How can you retire? rich in Africa. That is what this channel is basically about. Somebody right now is working somewhere in the supermarket. All he or she is going home with is just a monthly salary or his monthly salary. Nobody talking about his pension, right? You must know how to execute this if you want to make progress anywhere across the continent. So if you are an African and a Nigerian in particular who lives either outside or within Africa, and you can afford to save 200 naira, 500 naira, 1,000 naira, 2,000 naira, 3,000 naira, 5,000 naira, or more on a daily or monthly basis, then subscribe to this channel and I'll be sharing with you practical steps you can take on how to change your finances in the next 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 30, 35 years as the counting goes. So if you are African and a Nigerian in particular who lives either outside or within Africa and you can afford to save 200 naira, 300, 500 naira, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 5,000 or more on a daily or monthly basis, then you should subscribe to this channel and also share this channel with as many people as you can that you know, right? Like I said before, if you're saving 200 naira daily, that's 6,000 monthly, 72,000 naira yearly, right? If you are doing 500 naira daily, that's 15,000 monthly, 180,000 yearly, right? And also if you are doing 1,000 daily, that is 30,000 monthly, 360,000 naira yearly. If you are doing 2,000 naira daily, that's 60,000 naira monthly and 720,000 on a yearly basis. If you are doing 3,000, that is 90,000 monthly and 1,080,000 yearly. If you are doing 5,000 naira daily, as 150,000 naira monthly, 1.8 million on the yearly basis. On this channel, right, my job, my team and I, is to show you how you can use your savings. It doesn't matter how small the saving is. If it is 200 naira you are saving on a daily basis, 6,000 monthly, 30,000 naira monthly, 90k monthly, 150 monthly, 100k monthly, 50k monthly. We will show you how you can use these different types of savings, right, to change your finances, most definitely. Now, you should join us on Facebook also, and the link to this community is somewhere in the description of this YouTube video, right, or Facebook video, wherever you're watching this from. The Global Wealth Creators Community is a Facebook community with Dan Arubasa, right, where I share knowledge on also about partnership and strategic investment. The link is somewhere right now on this post, right, either on YouTube or Facebook. Just follow the link. You'll be asked 3 questions on your savings, right? Then how you can save, all that is also there. Just join us in the group, then you meet other people, other wealth creators from across the continent who are thinking about wealth creation, partnership and all that. It's all available within that's our Facebook community. There you'll be able to share knowledge with others and partner with people. You will see reason why you should join this community as we make progress in this how to become rich, how to retire rich in Africa, part 1 to 5. You're going to see the reason why you should join this Facebook community. And also in the description channels also of this video, right, we have what we call learning resource. There's a link that will take you down to my online store where you have materials, books, online courses that you can take at your own pace, right? Learn on how to use your savings to change your life over time. It's all there available to you. Some are free, some are paid. Just pick the one that suits you and you'll be able to jump in, join others who are building wealth all across the entire continent, right? So in part 2 of this how to retire rich in Africa, all right, I'll be looking at why a personal retirement plan in part 2 of this series. So I will see you in part 2. My name is Dan Arubasa. I'm a life after school coach. I'm a quantum leap enabler. I'm a value market strategist. I'm a goals achievers expert. And above all, I am an SME certified master fundraiser with over 10 years experience across the board. So see you in part 2 somewhere on this channel. Just look for part 2 of this video and you will look at how, right, why a personal retirement plan. That's what we're going to be looking at in part 2. So see you in the next video.